This is Henosis Sport, aka Henosis Health, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, I figured I had to drop a health video. It's been a minute. As you guys can see on the community post, it's about masculinity is the ultimate goal for men and not obesity. I'm gonna say that again. Masculinity is the ultimate goal for men and not obesity. You guys have to understand, obesity is already one of the leading killers in America. Our Western society has an atrocious diet. The Western society has an atrocious diet. A lot of the diet is filled with soy, and we're talking about these processed variations of soy proteins, soy lecithins, all these different forms of soy. What folks don't understand about soy is in these processed foods that they put the soy in, soy feminizes you as a man. It causes and it wreaks havoc on the holy grail hormone, which is your testosterone. I'm gonna say that again. It wreaks havoc and it causes damage on an intracellular level, on a DNA level. It throws off the holy grail hormone, which is testosterone. Men need testosterone in droves. We need that testosterone to be high. This is what causes us to have masculinity. I'm going to say that again. Men need testosterone in droves because it's what causes us to have masculinity. We need our masculinity as men. This is what helps us to have facial hair. This is what helps us to recede. You know what I'm saying? It's the inevitable process. You know, age and attrition. Testosterone is everything for men. Without your testosterone staying at high levels, you can't function as a man. Not only does it affect you physically in terms of performance, it also affects you sexually, and it also affects you mentally. Men don't understand how their testosterone is connected to everything. You want your testosterone to be high because, one, it makes you sound like a man. You could tell when a man has testosterone in him because you hear the lion in him. You hear that roar. Femininity is attracted to masculinity. It's not attracted to obesity. See, when men become obese and they're well overweight, they develop feminine tendencies and feminine traits in their bodies. They grow man boobs. They get a big midsection. They start growing fat in areas that they shouldn't be growing. Men have cellulites. That's right, men have cellulites too when they are extremely overweight. That's female tendencies that's being now attributed into a male body. Even some of the healthiest women that are within weight have cellulite. Now, men having cellulite, come on now. You're not supposed to have these things. Men are supposed to look like men. They're supposed to sound like men. They're supposed to react like men. And what I mean by that is they need to have that voice that pronunciates like a man. They need to have that feature. They need to have the appearance thereof that gives manlyhood. And you know where all that comes from? Your testosterone. Without that hormone, you can't project all of these things. You can't be that alpha male that you're looking to be. You're going to be a beta boy. That's what you're going to end up being. And that's what soy does. It feminizes you because of the excess estrogen that is pumped into the body. So you got to remember, if estrogen is in excess, then what is it doing? It's removing the testosterone, because estrogen and testosterone, they can exist, but when one is greater than the other, then the one that's greater supersedes the other. I'm going to say that again. They both exist in the body. Male and female both have estrogen and testosterone. But you want to know the single greatest difference between the two? Women have more estrogen in their body than they have testosterone. And that's why they have feminine traits. Men have more testosterone in their body as opposed to estrogen. And that's why they have masculine traits. Men's testosterone are supposed to be high, and their estrogen is supposed to be low. Women, on the other hand, their estrogen levels are supposed to be regulated, not high, regulated. Because when a woman's estrogen level is high, then it throws their hormones out of whack. But their testosterone levels are low. That's the single greatest difference between both sexes. But when you have these obese men walking around here, heavily overweight men, listen to them. Their voice has changed. Their anatomy has changed. They sound feminine. They have become feminized. And they start having feminine features. This is why it's not good for a man to be overweight. No man on this earth should be walking overweight. I'm going to say that again. No man on this earth should be walking overweight. It's not good. There's a litany of health issues associated with that. Women already deal with series of health issues being extremely overweight. Heart disease. It messes with your kidney function, and it messes with your brain function. That's right. Being overweight, being obese, messes with your ability to think reasonably and effectively, to have normal cognitive functioning, because your normal hormones in your body are impaired. They are thrown out of whack. And what you have to understand is your brain, your heart, and your kidneys are working overtime because of the excess weight in your body. This is why it's not good to be obese, because you're putting your body through too much stress. And if you do that, you create oxidative stress. So if you create oxidative stress at the DNA level, at the intracellular level, then you know what you end up creating? Inflammation. So then when inflammation happens, this is how we're developing atherosclerosis, which is heart disease. This is where the plaque in the heart is impaired. It's hardened because the heart is working overtime. You don't want your heart working overtime. You don't want your brain working overtime. And you don't want your kidneys working overtime. These are three crucial organs that are impaired. Being extremely overweight can cause diabetes. And we all know there are two forms of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is when you have too much insulin. Type 1 is when you don't have enough insulin. Most people in this Western horrible processed diet ends up developing type 2. And for men, when you develop type 2 diabetes, it affects you down there. Because if you have diabetes, then you have what follows thereafter, which is erectile dysfunction. Yes. Because if your heart, which is the muscle that allows your arteries in your veins to pump blood fluidly and freely everywhere in your body, is impacted, then that means it's impacted in your member downstairs. So this is something to seriously consider. This is why it's imperative to adopt an intermittent fasting lifestyle. A high regimen of moderate intensity workouts to where you're working 70% of your heart rate every time you work out, anywhere between 4 to 6 times a week. This is why it's imperative to have a progressive, well-balanced, and healthy diet. And this is why it's imperative to just take care of yourself and to keep your stress low. Because in doing this, you will ensure that your testosterone stays high. You will ensure that your masculinity stays intact. And you have to understand, the human anatomy, male and female, are just like animals in one regard. We have pheromones. Yes, our body sniffs off pheromones. And like I've said, femininity is attracted to masculinity. The more masculine you are in your appearance, the more masculine you are in your approach, and the more masculine you are in your traits, it will attract the opposite side because they love the opposite. It's just common sense, folks. This is nature at its best, nature at its finest. Opposites attract. But in order for opposites to attract, they have to be opposite. So if you're extremely overweight and you're extremely obese as a man, you are not the opposite. You're as close to femininity as possible. No man should be obese. I'm going to say that again. No man should be obese. And if you are that person, then as the ultimate truth teller that's coming to you guys with cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truths, you need to reevaluate yourself. The biggest thing you need to do is look at yourself in the mirror. Strip your body down naked and look at yourself in the mirror. That's where you're going to come to that realization, that ugly truth as a man. Trust me, if you do that, it's going to be a telltale sign for you. Because at that point, you will be disgusted if you are that heavily obese man of what you see in the mirror. And you'll come to terms that I need to make the change. And if you are that person, comment below. And I can tell you guys exactly what you need to do from a health standpoint to turn that thing around. Is it going to happen overnight? No. But if you follow these 4 key ingredients to your health that I will lay out for you, then trust me, you will be on your way to becoming the best version of your masculine self. This is Hino's Sport. Checking out.